that kind of thing, because they all know that it's going to be their turn.
Yeah, this light's
Am
going.
I right? Okay. As an audience, as an audience, you need to show each of the people that are up here some courteous consideration and make sure that you can listen to them. And don't make faces and, you know, all that kind of good stuff while they're up here. Okay? Is this running?
It's running.
Okay.
If you would stand in the area where Officer Langford was when she was speaking to you, that's where the videotape is set up.
Here?
Yes.
Hello, I am standing up here today because I am a DARE graduate. I am able to face any challenges that may stand in my way, such as being pressured into using alcohol and other drugs, knowing what is right and what is wrong, and knowing that using drugs does not make people. DARE has helped me in many ways. There are some situations that I could be in that DARE would help me. I could be at a shopping mall and some kids could stop me and ask me to use drugs. I learned in DARE that I have the right to say no, or that stuff is dangerous, and then I would go tell an adult or security officer. Or I could be walking home from school and I could find some needles and drugs on the ground. I learned that I should go tell an adult and or call the police. My plans for the future are to finish grade school and then finish high school, go on to college, get my degree, and stay drug-free. In conclusion, I would like to thank Officer Langford for being a super DARE officer. I would also like to thank DARE for teaching me how to be assertive, because if I were ever in a situation where I need to be assertive, my DARE classes would pay off.
Hi. Very nice job. Thank you for being brave enough to go first.
Do you want this?
Yes, I do. If you could just leave them on your desk, I'll pick them up as we go along.
I'd like to remind all of you as you speak to use eye contact with your audience. This is a safe place.
I take it we have volunteers, or do we have questions? We have volunteers, okay. Joe?
My name is Joseph Wilson. In DARE class, I learned how to use assertive behavior by talking in a mean or nasty tone. I have been in a situation where I had to use a couple ways to say no, like walk away, hold shoulder, and I said no. If I were to be in the situation again, I would tell the police. When I get mad, I usually take my anger out on other people, but after DARE, I learned some ways to keep my cool, like hit a pillow or watch TV. Usually after a while I forget why I was mad. If I were to be in a situation at school, I would probably tell an adult. I think that would be the best idea, but most situations aren't at school but on the street. If I were to be in a situation on the street, I'd be assertive or just walk away. Then I would tell the police. I will stay out of gangs by staying away from people that all wear the same stuff, and stay away from big groups of people that look unfriendly. In the future, I'd like to be a football or baseball player, and if I do drugs or alcohol, I wouldn't be able to play correctly, or I could get caught using drugs in the locker room or on the streets. And if I get caught on the streets, I'd probably get put in prison, and probably not be able to do what I want to. Thank you, Officer Langford, for teaching our class DARE.
Nice.
Three ways I would use to resist offers and use of drugs or alcohol are: 1, walk away; 2, say no thanks; and 3, give me an excuse, which would be said with an assertive behavior. Some kinds of methods I would use to resolve my conflicts and still keep my cool are: if I would get angry with my foster sister, I would try not to yell at her and calmly tell her to please leave me alone. If I was having a fight with a friend, I would change the subject and try to talk about something else. Most important, if someone asked me to try some drugs, I would say no thanks and leave. My plan also includes to be very careful with the friends I choose to hang around with, so I won't use drugs. I have definite plans never to join a gang, no matter what they say to me. I will never join any gang activities, even if a friend would ask me. My future plans are to attend college and receive a medical degree. If I got hooked on drugs, this would not work. I could even end up in prison for committing a delinquent act or malicious act, and that could go on my
Walmart has done many things in Derek class this year. The review of the 8 ways to say no was very important. I hope that I won't need to use them in the future, but I know I will. I plan to just say no to drugs. If that doesn't work, I will walk away from the problem. I can also give reasons why I don't want to do drugs. I also know that I will be pressured by gangs. I plan to stay out of gangs. I can do this by staying away from the gangs and getting into after-school activities. I can also make friends so that I don't feel alone or left out. I can keep out of fights by talking about future problems. I can stay calm instead of getting mad and beating people up or even getting beat up. I can stay calm by taking deep breaths and talk about my problems with people who care, instead of getting mad. I'll try to get along with people instead of being mean and fight. In the future, I plan to become an electrical engineer. If I use drugs, they can kill my brain cells. If I lose the brain cells, I can't do the work involved in the job, and I would be insufficient to the job. Then I couldn't qualify for any good jobs. I thank Officer Langford for teaching me many things I will definitely need to know in the future. I appreciate that very much that she took time for me and my classmates to prepare us for the future.
Anna, put your hand up.
I learned in there to say no to drugs. You have to be assertive when someone asks you to take drugs. Some ways are walking away cold-shouldered and make a reason or excuse. We have to do these things to resist drug and violence. We also have to not get involved in gangs. The way we will not become active in gangs is to stay away and avoid them. All of us have to resolve conflicts without violence. 3 ways to do that are talk it out, discuss it, and make arrangements. I plan to resolve conflicts in the future by discussing the problem. My plans for the future are to go to college, do good, join the football team, and be drafted to the NFL. Drugs and alcohol can affect my life by getting stressed out and being depressed. Ways I can stop this is by totally rejecting drugs and alcohol when offered them or given them to me. I will try my hardest to do the best I can to resist drugs and alcohol. P.S. Here is the key.
Very nice.
Hi, my name is Tony Dorr. This is my 2nd year in DARE. DARE has taught me a lot about drug and gang-related situations. If I got caught in a situation where someone was asking me to do drugs, I could say no thanks to them, walk away, or even use a broken record. I will also look them in the eye and stand up straight so they know I'm serious and not joking. If they started to make fun of me, I could count to 10, run home to burn off the anger and cool myself down, or I could try not to pay any attention to them. I plan to resolve future conflicts by using what I learned from DARE and avoiding pressure people put on me, such as peer, heavy, and indirect pressure. I will resist becoming involved in gangs by going the opposite way of where the gangs hang out, or I could go past the area with a group of people so they don't bug me. Drugs and alcohol can affect my future plans by screwing up my brain so it can't think right, screwing up my body so it can't perform as good as before I took drugs or alcohol, or it can even kill me. DARE has taught me this and many other things that will help me through my entire life. Most important, they have taught me in situations related to games, drugs, and alcohol to always stand up for my rights.
Oh, wait. You're John, right? Do you have your hand up? Want to go? Nick thought I was picking on him. What did I do?
I, John, am committed to
to staying off drugs, not abusing alcohol, choosing right from wrong, keeping a good company of friends, and keeping the trust of my parents and others. When I'm offered drugs or alcohol, I will resist by first saying no thanks. Then I might add a reason. I've got better things to do. Finally, I'd give the quote to our elders by just ignoring them. In the future, I will try to keep my cool when faced with conflicts by waiting to react. I may have to count to 10, and then I might take a time out. If I find myself still angry and I'm at home, I would punch a pillow. I think the best way to resolve conflicts is to make compromises by listening to all sides of the story. If I find myself wrong in a conflict, it is important that I apologize. I will resist becoming involved in gangs by remembering I am an individual and following my morals. It is important for me to show the strength to walk away instead of being weak and following a big crowd. I will always search for friends that have and respect good values. I want to be healthy and stay that way. I also want to go to high school and college and to be an engineer. God gave me a special mind to respect and to use to its full potential. I can be an example of goodness and love by helping and caring. To feel good about myself, I must be honest and proud of myself and stay happy. I want to be the best me that I can, and I hope today that with help, I will succeed.
Do I still have volunteers? Therese?
Okay. With the help of the DARE teachers, I have learned many things that I can use in my life, like the 8 ways to say no. For instance, you can say no thanks, give an excuse or reason, or just walk away. I have learned about assertive behavior. This means to talk to the person or people loud enough that they can hear you, but not yelling. Also, to keep your hands out of your pockets, stand up straight, and look them straight in the eye. They have taught me how to resist being involved in gangs, by not going where gangs hang out, or not wearing the types of colors or clothes they wear when you have to be near their hangouts. They have taught me how to keep my peace by taking deep breaths, running around my house, or taking my anger out on a pillow. If I do not follow these ways, it might affect my future plans. I might be killed, blow all my money stored for college on drugs. I could get arrested or not get the job I want because I may not be able to control my temper. And that's important because I want to become a teacher and be drug-free. All this can affect my future and probably more, but from the DARE classes, I know I will do my best to use the information I've learned.
I'm trying to figure out your name.
Jessica.
Jessica, okay. I almost called somebody else Jessica.
Hi, my name is Jessica Wilkinson. The 3 ways I will use to say no when someone offers me drugs or alcohol are to say no thanks, walk away, and give a reason or excuse. The 3 methods I will use to keep my cool are to take deep breaths, count to 10, and punch my pillow. I plan to resolve future conflicts by compromising or apologizing. I will resist becoming involved in gangs by avoiding the situation. And if I know someone is in a bad gang, I should tell my parents and notify the police. Drugs and alcohol can affect my future plans by having a bad job or no job at all, having a low self-esteem, by having little or no friends, not being able to make a sports team, and by having a bad education. My future plans that I want to happen are to be involved in sport and to be a nurse. Drugs and alcohol will affect me, so I cannot fulfill my dreams, and so I cannot use my talents and abilities how God wanted me to.
Very nice. Looks like our volunteers are fading. Okay, Nick.
This year in DARE, 7th grade, I felt it was really different than we had it in 5th grade. Mostly because in 5th grade, the situation didn't really happen that much. But
they are facing these problems a lot more in a step farther and farther into the future. Which means if we use drugs, join gangs, or commit delinquent acts, it could change our lives deeply. In DARE, we learned how to face these problems, such as if somebody asked you to have drugs, you could use the say no methods, as using the broken record, which you repeat no constantly, use cold shoulder or ignore the person, and use strength in numbers by showing up with friends. But in doing this, always have an assertive attitude. There is also a problem of gangs. I will try to join other activities which would represent good to resist getting into gangs. Now is also the time to start resolving conflicts. In a case of a fight, I may even apologize to the person. I can choose to compromise and figure the problem out. Or instead of using my anger on them, go alone and let it out. In the future, I hope to keep these habits. Drugs and alcohol, if used, will affect anybody's life, and I will try to keep them out of my life. But if used, I may become sick, my grades could fall to school, and I might not even be able to go to college. These 2 pages are not the only thing I was taught in DARE, but I hope they will help me in my future.
Excuse me, Paul, we're gonna need a little bit louder and take one step to your left.
While I was in DARE class, I learned not only that drugs are bad for you, but I also learned about gangs and violence. I also learned a lot of stuff I forgot in 5th grade, like the ways you say no to drugs. Some ways are to say no to drugs are for the cold shoulder, walking away, straight numbers, and another way to say no is the broken record. Now I can use what I learned in DARE class against the violence on the street and neighborhood. Most of all, I am not going to use drugs so I can get a good job and so I don't go to jail. Mostly so I don't die and don't make my family sad because I would use drugs if I would use drugs. When I get mad, I would punch a pillow and scream.
Okay. Kevin.
Being in DARE for 2 years helps me to use assertive behavior to resolve conflicts and how to stay away from gangs. Using assertive behavior helps you to stay away from gangs or being tempted to do something you don't want to do. If someone asks me to do something I didn't want to do, I can say no, change the subject, or walk away. DARE also helps you to resolve heated arguments by counting to 10, taking a deep breath, and punching a pillow. Then you can talk it out. I can stay out of gangs by avoiding people that look like trouble or walk with someone to keep them away. In the future, I hope to stay away from gangs and drugs by using the things I learned in DARE. Drugs can affect me for the rest of my life by getting involved with the wrong people and destroying my relationship with my family and friends. If I stay away from drugs and alcohol, I can have a productive, happy life thanks to DARE.
Very nice. More volunteers? So I get to start picking. Nate.
Hi, my name is Nate. I'm going to commit myself to getting a good education because I want to have a successful career when I grow up. It is up to me whether or not this will happen. If I were to choose to do drugs, it would interfere with my learning process. I will not allow myself to get caught in the trap that drugs are harmless, because I know that there are no benefits to doing drugs. If someone wants me to join them taking drugs, I will say no or just walk away. If I can avoid them, even being in the situation, I will. I'll stay away from those that I know are using drugs. I will try not to get into a confrontation, and the best way is to stay clear of drug users and abusers. I will avoid becoming involved in a gang because there is no future in being a gang member. I know that it is a dead end and no win situation. I plan to stay in school and get a good education. I can live a good life. I know that the teen years are to be the toughest to get there, and I will avoid doing the things that could be harmful to my future. I realize that there are more years that I can enjoy as an adult than there are as a teenager, and so I want to have a chance to be a grown-up. God gave me life, and now I want to live it as long as I can. Drugs do not fit into the picture. I say no to drugs because I have respect for myself and others.
Hey, Jean. I was gonna choose you anyway.
If I were ever to be confronted by someone asking me to do drugs, I could simply say no assertively and then walk away. I should not hesitate in saying no. I need to be strong and face this problem. I should try to avoid these kinds of situations if possible. If I was ever approached by a friend to do drugs, I could walk away and not allow the friend to pressure me. If I had a friend like that, I would give them the cold shoulder so I'd be able to ignore their comments. Another thing I could do is just say no thanks. The friend would probably get mad and then walk away. To keep my cool in these kinds of situations, I could take deep breaths to relieve stress brought upon me. If a person was smoking and the smoke was bothering me, I could ask them to stop. If someone were to tease me about not using drugs, I could ignore them or not let their comments bother me. I plan to resolve conflicts with drugs by avoiding situations that could occur. I will also hang around with the right people so this may not happen. I'll try to stay away from the areas or people who could pressure me to do drugs. My plans for the future are to go to high school and then to college. When I'm done with school, I want to become an accountant. If I start doing drugs or become a part of a gang, I may drop out of school and not become a successful accountant. I will end up nowhere in my life because drugs will have messed it up. All of these factors tell me to never start using drugs or to get involved with a gang.
Okay, Pat?
My name is Patrick Maddox and I am a 7th grade Dare student. This year I learned the difference between committing a crime and committing a delinquent act. To commit a serious crime against someone to hurt them or their property and are under 18, you cannot be found guilty unless you are waived into adult court. More than likely you would be found delinquent. I also learned some different situations in which he used the 8 ways to say no. If I was approached by a group of people and asked to try some drugs, I would probably say no thanks very assertively or walk away. I would like to thank Officer Langford and the Menominee Falls Police Department for taking time out of their busy day to come teach us about drugs and alcohol and what they do to us and how we affect our future. We have learned a lot from you and we thank you.
Emily?
In this DARE program, I have learned about how having a good future depends on my choices now. I know about the effects of peer pressure and that there are a number of ways to avoid letting its influence block good judgments. To do that, I can take a minute, step back, and think of the consequences to my actions. I know that there are a number of ways I can avoid contact with gangs, like being careful about where I go or what I do. I have more insight on how to peacefully resolve conflicts, to take some deep breaths or walk away for a while, so that I can keep my anger from escalating. I have learned about the dangers and risks involved with using drugs or alcohol, not only to myself, but in endangering other people too. I can assertively say no to drug use and violence because I know more about them. I want want to become a therapist when I grow up because I like to help people. If I become caught up in a gang or using drugs, there would be no way for me to fulfill my dream. I thank God for giving me choices in life, and this commitment, I know that wherever life leads me, I will have a good future ahead.
Kristen.
Dare has not only taught me what to do when approached by drugs, like saying no thanks, walking away, or changing the subject, but it has also taught me lessons not involving drugs or alcohol. For example, in order to keep my cool when resolving conflicts, I can listen to the other people, refrain from yelling and compromise. In the future, I will try to use these methods because if I don't, I could get into even a deeper mess. Dare made me realize that I can resist becoming involved in gangs by avoiding areas heavily populated with gangs, but if approached, I can remind myself that I have better things going for me. Dare reminded me that drugs and alcohol can ruin my future plans of getting a college degree, which is as far ahead as I can think of. By messing up my mind, which would cause me not to have the job I want, and I would be very happy with my life.
Brad.
Okay. I will take a stand to say no to drugs, and if someone approaches me with drugs, I will say no, change the subject, or walk away. If someone ever starts yelling at me, I will keep my cool and ignore what he is saying. Try to calm myself down, or take deep breaths. I will resolve future conflicts by trying not to get into them. To resist gangs I will resist gangs by not going by them or not wearing the gang colors. Drugs and alcohol can ruin my future by ruining my brain, so I will not be smart enough to do the job that I need to learn.
Good. Chris.
I learned in Dare lots of things I wouldn't have learned on my own. I learned the 8 ways to say no, how to identify drugs, the dangers they can cause to people, and how to stay away from gangs. Now if I'm ever faced with a situation where someone is asking me to take drugs, I know how to say no effectively. I have also learned the consequences of taking drugs or destroying things, like going to juvenile hall or jail. Now I know the difference between things like pranks and malicious acts, crimes and status offenses, and school rules and delinquent acts. I am grateful that Officer Langford has taught about drugs so we know how to stay away from them. I would like to be a football player when I grow up, and I know if I use drugs or alcohol, that will never happen. I learned a lot more this year in Dare than I learned in 5th grade because I have so many more reasons not to use drugs.
Very nice. Katie.
Hi, my name is Katie Layfeld. This is my commitment to keep myself from getting pressured into taking drugs. If I am asked to take drugs, I will say no thanks, walk away, or change the subject. To keep my cool when I am stressed out or angry, I will count to 10, take a deep breath, or punch my pillow. I plan to resolve future conflicts by confronting the person with the problem in a non-violent manner and coming to understanding without using violence or force that we both agree on. I will resist becoming involved in gangs by staying away from the places they hang out and not wearing the styles or colors of their clothes. Drugs and alcohol can affect my future plans by changing my focus. I also might lose sight of my goals, and things that are important to me might change. That is why I choose not to take drugs, because I know I have a good future ahead of me.
Dana.
First of all, I'd like to thank Officer Eileen Langford for teaching me the importance of not taking drugs and the consequences if I do commit a crime or take drugs. If someone were to offer me drugs or alcohol, I'd be assertive, and say no, and make sure I have perfect eye contact with the person. And if that didn't work, I would just walk away. And when I get mad at my brother, instead of getting in a fight, I will take 10 deep breaths, stay calm, and talk it over with him. In the future, I will remember to stay away from the wrong people and remember the consequences if I do get involved with the gang. My plans for the future are to finish college and get a job and become a successful lawyer. And if I get involved with the wrong people, my future would be gone and my dreams could also be canceled.
My name is Vincent Fortune, and the purpose of this presentation is to outline my personal commitment. My personal commitment requires the use of several methods to achieve success. If offered drugs or alcohol, I will use assertive behavior to stand my ground and say no thanks, because drugs and alcohol are bad for you. 3 of my preferred methods to say no are to say no thanks, change the subject to something else, and walk away from the situation. 3 methods that I use to keep my cool when I am angry are: I tell myself to calm down, walk away from the situation to regroup, take deep, relaxing breaths. My favorite methods to resolve possible conflicts are avoiding the potential conflict before it has a chance to start, and talking to the person to find out what is bothering them and what I can do to improve the situation. I will resist gang involvement by staying away from known gang hangouts and gang members. In conclusion, I can be successful in life by avoiding drugs, alcohol, and gangs. My personal goals are to be a professional athlete, be an Army aviator, and fly the Apache attack helicopter, or be a paleontologist.
Wow. Ashley.
Hi, my name is Ashley Schultz, and I'm a 7th grade DARE graduate. DARE units have helped me to think about my future more. I have learned to resist the power of peer pressure. I have also learned to be assertive and say no, and mean it. I have realized that I can plan ahead for my future, and if I do drugs, that could only get in the way of those plans. In DARE this year, we have practiced saying no, walking away, and strength in numbers. We have also practiced keeping our cool and stand up and don't look down. Be assertive and stay calm. I will practice these things in the situation of getting pressured to take drugs. But I'll say no.
Good. Okay, there's 2 left here. Brian?
Hello. I'm not sure about what I want to do for a job right now, but I do know that drugs can interfere towards your goal. For example, if I plan on being a police officer, they probably won't let me if I have a past drug history. I think DARE's had a positive influence on me, and I've learned a lot about assertiveness. DARE inspires me to think more about the future. I want to finish high school and go on to college. If I'm caught doing drugs, I will damage my brain and body. It will be harder to get a job. Throughout 5th and 7th grade DARE, I've learned a lot about peer pressure and how to resist it. I can use the 8 ways to say no. Be prepared ahead of time. Thank you.
What I have learned this year in DARE is the 8 ways to say no, methods to use to resolve a conflict, and resisting becoming engaged. I know that if someone offers me drugs or alcohol, I could just say no or give a reason or excuse, and think about the consequences I have if I do drugs or say yes. If someone asks me to be a part of a game, I can say no or say I have better things to do. I want to be a doctor in my future. I don't want drugs or alcohol to ruin my dreams. If I do decide to do drugs, which I won't, my life will probably be miserable. DARE has has taught me to make the right decisions, like not to do drugs.